Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is 7 awesome things about Leo. I've already done a series of videos on the shadow aspects of each sign, and I thought it would be high time to do the companion piece, which are positive elements of each sign of the zodiac. So I'm going to start with the first thing for Leo, which is warm. It's like the warmth of the sun. Leo is ruled by the sun. So people who have a prominent Leo will tend to give off a very warm glow. And this can mean also that they are touchy-feely, where they tend to hug people a lot and are warm physically as well. You know, some people are a little bit more standoffish and they're not as friendly right off the bat, but Leo people tend to be. And again, this does not have to be just the sun sign. If you have Leo rising, even if you're a Capricorn, if you have Leo rising or the moon in Leo, you may be a lot more touchy-feely and just kind of in general very like bright-spirited, if you will. And that brings me to number 2, actually, because that positive feeling, sunny disposition is definitely something that Leo possesses. And this is one of those characteristics that I think is appreciated by other people, because we all know that others can definitely affect our own sense of how we feel. If you've ever been in the company of somebody who gives off bad vibes, who seems very down in the dumps, very negative, you know that you don't feel very good in that environment. Well, the same thing applies to somebody who is really positive, warm, friendly. There's that good feeling, that good vibe that is, good vibes that are generated in such companies. So being around a Leo person can brighten up your day. Let's just put it that way. Number 3 is a great leader. Leos are fixed signs, which means that they tend to be the builders. They like consistency. They dislike change, and they are very dependable and predictable in a lot of ways. So they're not like an Aries person per se, except for the fact that they're both fire signs, of course. But they tend to be, you know, Aries people are cardinal signs, so they tend to be very much into initiating things, and Leos, being fixed signs, tend to be more like builders. So somebody else initiates something and Leo kind of takes over the project, if you will. So both of those signs could be leaders, but for Leo, it's more of managing what already has been produced. And as leaders, Leos can run the gamut. If they are in those positive traits, for the most part at least, then they will be a good leader, where they will be encouraging to employees. They will have a good atmosphere in the workplace, a positive environment, and tend to treat each employee like they matter. Obviously, we're not talking about the shadow side of Leo, so I'm not even going to get into that. But there are such things as positive leaders. And being a positive leader, or being a good leader, let's just put it that way, is really based upon treating your employees or underlings as individuals and as worthwhile human beings, you know. And so that positive side to Leo definitely would do that. In addition, I think, to just being very creative and things like that, which gets me to my next point, because that's one of the traits that I mentioned. So number 4 is creativity. And Leo rules the 5th house, which does deal with creativity, well, in part at least. And so Leos are naturally artistic, creative, and they need that kind of an outlet in order to feel like themselves. And what's so neat about someone who's creative is that they can bring it out in others. So a Leo parent, for instance, and again, this doesn't have to be a sun in Leo, could be a moon, could be Venus or Mars in Leo, will encourage their children to express themselves creatively. And the reason this is important is that I have noticed in recent years, based on people that I know personally, that it seems that encouraging children to be creative is not as commonplace these days. And I don't know if I'm just speaking about too small of a sampling of people that I have encountered, but it seems like they're encouraging sports in both boys and girls much more than they are to do anything creative, like playing an instrument or being in a school play or taking art classes. And I don't know if this is because we are a society that is encouraging competition more and more over being creative, which is more of a spiritual pursuit in a sense, because you're trying to beautify the world, or you're just trying to express your soul, and you're not trying to win anything or to be better than somebody else. You're just trying to express yourself. I actually want to bring in another point in all of this because it kind of goes along with creativity, and that would be, I guess, number 5, which is fun-loving, big kid at heart. And this is another thing about Leo that is really so wonderful, is that no matter how old the Leo person is, they really do enjoy having a good time. And that's another aspect of the 5th house, is parties, games, amusements, anything that relates to fun, even sports. And I did mention sports as well. But the Leo person, no matter how old they are, believes that life is not just about work. I could have, the funny thing is, I could have listed hardworking or even a workaholic, but being a workaholic isn't necessarily a positive trait. But Leos are very hardworking typically, but they also not know how to have fun as well. So that cliche about working hard, playing hard definitely applies to Leo people. And in terms of being a big kid at heart, the 5th house also connects to children. So it's like never losing your inner child is something I would say is true about Leos. And what's so important about that is that when you have that connection to your inner child, you can relate to children better as a parent or as somebody who interacts with children, maybe as your job, as a teacher or what have you, but just always seeing things through the eyes of a child and understanding them better, but also being able to have fun in life. How many people kind of lose that sense of pure joy as they get older and they become overly serious? And really, again, that's bringing down the energy, that's losing that sense of positivity. And it does tend to affect other people. So it's nice when somebody lifts the mood because they are always in contact with that inner child. Number 6 is confidence. And when you're confident, it's less likely that you are going to stoop to demean another person, because a lot of that kind of behavior occurs when someone is insecure and they need to feel good by putting someone else down. And so all of those kind of negative traits that we associate with abusive behavior, you can assume that the person who is doing it doesn't have good feelings about themselves. And Leo people tend towards confidence, and this makes them great role models in terms of self-esteem. A lot of times you can learn how to honor yourself by emulating a healthy Leo person. And it's always a lot easier to deal with people who have confidence, because people that are insecure, sometimes they take offense at every little thing. You have to walk on eggshells, and they're not really pleasant to be around. And number 7, Leos tend to be larger than life, and they make life magical and dramatic. And you know, we talk about drama and bringing drama to life, and the lower expression of Leo might bring more negative kinds of drama to things. But there is a positive type of, I don't know if you'd call it, when I said larger than life, treating life as it's not mundane, as if every moment counts. And isn't this a magical place? Isn't it wonderful that we're doing this activity right now? So they can take ordinary, mundane experiences and elevate them into something much more than they are. And I suppose we could say that because the sun is such an omnipresent entity in our lives, that Leos magnify experiences and make them much more meaningful to all of us. And I'm so grateful that Leos exist, because they bring a lot of affection and inspiration and just plain old fun to the rest of us. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like this type of analysis, please check out my readings. The link to my website is below, and take care. Bye.